It seems like there's an idea these days where people will almost espouse empathy as the sole basis for how they treat people, which seems to be a profoundly immoral, evil sort of thing to do. And I think empathy has its place, but the notion would be that if you use empathy as the sole basis for how you treat people, whether or not you're kind to them, whether or not you're good to them, whether or not you're moral towards them, that this would inevitably entail a type of preferential treatment, right? I'm more good, I'm more kind, I'm more moral towards certain people who I have commonality with, as opposed to those who, through no fault of their own, have no commonality with me, right? It feels like the idea of being good on principle, of being kind on principle, of being moral towards people on principle is a far better, like, just kind of a blanket, this is how you behave around and towards people, writ large. And then as a supplement to that, you have this notion of, okay, the people who I feel the most understanding towards are the people who I can help the best. The people who I am the most close in proximity to are the people who I can help the best. It's meant to be a supplement to the idea of, yes, principled position, be kind to people, be good to people, be moral towards people, and then beyond that, you have this idea of the people who I understand the best, I can help those the best. But it feels like, as on its own, it's just this type of, no, I'm going to throw those other people to the wolves and help the people who I like. I don't know. It just seems like a very evil sort of thing. And for the record, I might have stolen a page out of Charlie Kirk's book on this one. I think he talked about that at times, and that might have been when I kicked it off. P.S. People on both sides, could you stop bringing the guy up? Hashtag leave Charlie Kirk alone. Guys, dead and buried. His problems are over. No, I just see a lot of people sticking him in thumbnails and whatnot for, I guess, clickbait or something. I don't know. It seems like that's a little bit on the kind of disrespectful, necrophiliac, amateur grave robber side. Anyways, moving on, we have some videos to look at, and then we're going to look at gypsies, I believe. Let's see what we can do here. So, a video by Brett Cooper, Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, and Cliff Clavicure. I believe it's Walk Into a Club.
I feel like reacting to things on the internet, which I have done for 4 years straight at this point, it used to be more fun. It used to be free and freewheeling, and now every day when I sit behind this microphone...
Sorry, I'm just a little bit ticked off. I had started this video and actually went into it, and it was, turned out my photo was over the entire screen pretty much. I forgot to move it. So, we're going at this again for the second time.
I'm constantly worried about offending people on my own side, on my own political side, not saying the right thing.
Because they can't stand a strong, independent woman.
I'm just over it. Can things not just be funny anymore? Can we not just touch some grass and
No.
laugh at things without it being the end of the world? Can I not just be entertained by things that go on the internet? Because what happened in Miami this weekend with all of the Manosphere streamers, that was my reality TV. All right, now you might be able to...
I wonder if there's some sort of psychological underpinning to the notion that I think women almost, like, they would probably lap guys when it comes to jewelry, because guys sometimes wear jewelry. Women, I think, almost always would wear jewelry. I wonder if there'd be any type of, like, evolutionary biology behind that, or some sort of instinctive, unconscious thing driving
tell
that.
by the sound of my voice, but we had the plague this week. Very few things brought me more genuine wheezing laughter than this collection of streamers taking Nick Fuentes to a club in Miami. And
yeah, and the thing is, I don't think a lot of them, like, I think at least Sneeko and Nick Fuentes maybe, well, Sneeko I don't think gets really, at least at one point he did not get along with Andrew Tate. For a while he got along with Andrew Tate, then he didn't, and I don't know if he's good with him again. Nick Fuentes, I don't know if he really gets along with anyone who's not white or Catholic or straight, asterisk. There's a lot of assertions people make about him, about he's perhaps a self-loathing gay man or something like that, but I don't know.
Do not worry, everyone is already busy condemning it. Now, before we get into what happened and all of the responses, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And of course, if you want to stay up to date on all of the things we are doing on the channel and every new episode, make sure to ring that notification bell. This whole streaming endeavor weekend, guys weekend, it was like a glorified bachelor party, but for the manosphere of streamers. And it all took place on Clavicular's stream on Kick. If you don't know who Clav is, Clavicular, I have a video about him. Batshit crazy, like crazy story. If you don't know who he is, you
She's not wrong. I think I have a video on him as well.
can go watch that. Clavicular somehow assembled the Avengers of the manosphere. He got the
I don't know if I like Fuentes as Iron Man. He's funny, but I don't know if I would, like, yeah. I was saying the other time I watched this, I can tell.
go watch that. Clavicular somehow assembled the Avengers.
Is this a race swapped Nick Fury? Well, a re-race swapped Nick Fury, because technically he was originally white, but no one cared because Samuel Jackson was awesome. I feel like, I don't know if they're black so much as, like, Southern European. I guess I don't know. Does anyone know that Andrew Tate brothers are the Tate brothers are black? And someone got all the hair in the family.
Of the manosphere. He got the Tate brothers, he got Fresh and Fit, he got Sneeko, he got Nick Fuentes, and a gaggle of women that you would expect to see on the Whatever podcast. He got them all together in Miami. And if that sounds like a fever dream to you, it basically is. Imagine me having a fever, watching all of this transpire. I thought I was hallucinating. They started this whole night, this like guys weekend, Saturday night at a pregame at this mansion that I think was provided by one of
Do you know it's completely unrelated to this? I was thinking of just using the word BIPOC as some sort of weird nebulous adjective to mean anything I want it to mean, because I don't really like it as a phrase. I kind of know what it means. It just kind of is, I don't know, it just feels like one of those terms people created to give themselves a podium for doing something and excluding other people and saying, no, we can do this, no, you can't. I don't know.
Andrew Tate's friends. This was all of them walking in the door. Like, this whole thing was being filmed.
That was super BIPOC of them.
The boys walking in.
For whatever reason, I think it's because I watched a highlight of Family Guy once on YouTube. I think that's kind of the progenitor of this. Probably watched it more than once actually, but there's a time where I think they were playing a tuba as Chris was walking around.
You see the cameras back there. They're on the water. Oh, there's the ladies lined up by the water, just ready for these streamers to walk in and greet them. And that clip was posted, and somebody said, this looks like a scene out of a mafia movie. And then somebody else reposted that and said, the gay father, which was very funny. I have to admit, I laughed a lot. One of the comments said, I can never forget the famous line from that movie, "You come to me on the day of my alpha male child's Hitler clubbing night." I literally, when I read that this morning, I laughed.
Classic.
So hard that snot came out of my nose. That's about where we're at right now.
TMI.
The whole first part of this streaming weekend at this pregame, it was like Clavicular, like being the new kid on the block. The new manosphere protege trying to prove himself to everyone, meeting his manosphere sages.
There's a part of me that hopes I would act better if I were faced with someone who was really famous. There's actually a really funny line from, I think, the one Innocents Abroad, where the character involved meets a king, and his kind of unhallowed thought is that he wants to see if he could strike the king, to see if the king would fall over like any other man or whatever. Like we tend to think of famous people as being these like etheric, larger than life things. And again, like I guess I would like to think I would react like normally, that I wouldn't be some sort of, you know, girly girl. But I guess I don't know. I think the most famous person I've ever met was probably some sort of reporter. But, yeah. At the time, I didn't know they were a reporter.
There's this moment where he tries to sound cool. He's like rizzing up, flirting with this girl. And he literally straight up just tells her that he does meth. Just watch.
When I get drunk, I get retarded. So. Yeah, but I usually don't drink.
Oh, what do you do?
Meth,
Oh, straight to the point.
you know? You guys ever do meth?
No, clavicular. Normal people
How dare you? He has mad riz.
do not do math. All of the other older guys, they're giving him advice like how to date or not date women.
Saying,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
date. I don't take dinner.
I never.
Ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
Yeah, babe.
I don't know if there's like a thought going through his head. It's like, I'll take the dinner, and he's like, oh, yeah, definitely not. What? What is going on?
The only dinner a woman will ever go to with me is when I'm meeting other men. But like a one-on-one dinner with a girl is a mistake and a waste of time and money.
3 hours of garbage.
How are these not too over the
I feel like this is more a commentary on the type of women you choose, which is in turn kind of a commentary on you as a person. Like, if the women you're with are boring, that's kind of because probably you're boring. Fun fact, there's the notion that you always want to be the smartest guy in the room. Sometimes being the smartest guy in the room just means you've surrounded yourself with idiots. Not always a good thing.
top caricatures that you see in like a weird comedy movie. These are not the lead characters. These are the odd supporting characters that are written so over the top to just like elevate the rest of the comedy. That is this scene right now. This is what
I feel like in a movie, these would be like the cartoonishly evil villains who would get their comeuppance at the end of the movie and say, "Darn you," whatever. They would have some sort of stupid closing phrase as they get dragged off to jail. "I'll be back."
we're watching. There's another moment where the same guy and Tristan Tate were telling Clavicular to not get invested in hoes, which you think, okay, maybe that's some good advice, you know, don't get invested in hoes, but then they also say this.
I DM them, think they ain't gonna come with me. Those side chicks aren't yours. Oh, those are hoes. They don't belong to you. Don't put a flag on them. Don't claim them. They're for the streets. So I still fuck them.
Look, okay, look at the way he's holding his hand, and that he has a pink suit. Just saying. Limp-wristed. That's what it looks like. He looks like a limp-wristed. No, for the record, I think the first thing that would actually come to mind is a pimp. And not ironically, intuitively, he actually did help Andrew Tate with his campgirl business. So I think I'm not far off on that.
Yeah, of course.
Classy. Love that for sure. Now, by the way, the guy in that video with Tristan Tate, his name is Justin Waller. On comment section, I once made fun of him for his suits and his pants being way too tight, which I stand by that. They are far too
I was going to say, like, I will stand up for women this once. Anyone who talks about women that way deserves to get clowned on.
too tight, Justin. I will always say that, but I'm pretty sure that I ran into him after the fact and he was very nice and considerate. I think that he did Michael Knowles' show or something and Michael was like, Brett.
I've remarked on this before, but I feel like anytime a person thinks they can get something, yes, they will turn on whatever little amount of charm they have and be very nice to you. So I don't think it's entirely remarkable that he was maybe nice to her, or he might be nice to any woman who can get him somewhere or something. It's unfortunately a side effect of being famous. Like, people are nice to you. It's one of those things, I don't know if you really know whether they're actually a quote-unquote nice person until you see how they treat people who they can't get anything from.
You gotta come see Justin. And I was like, oh my God, I literally was just crapping on this man for how tight his suits are. They are far too tight. Anyway, the whole stream to me was just more evidence that Clavicular, as this new social media figure and young man, that he really has no ideas or core values. He is just there mogging. Like, the only thing that this man thinks about is looks maxing. Like, his brain must be damaged from like hitting himself in the face with a hammer and doing meth. Just look at his face when Tristan Tate tried to talk about politics with him.
I said I was going to vote for Gavin Newsom because I called JD Vance. You know what I mean? I called JD Vance a fat subhuman.
It does feel like he's kind of a little bit cloying, looking for affirmation a bit. Maybe age will solve some of that. I think I don't know what, he might be 20 at this point. Yeah, it's stupid. You always think you're grown up at the age you are. And then when you grow up past that, you kind of like, oh wow, not grown up at all.
And I would advise you that.
I don't like this hair flip here. It looks like it's asymmetrical, and not in a nice way, not in an asymmetrically balanced way, just kind of asymmetrical.
You're wrong. However, you're an American, and I'm an American, so I don't tell other Americans who to vote for. I never have.
Newsom mogged JD Vance, and that's why I voted for him. And then Tristan's like, no, that is an absolutely idiotic idea. Say what you will about Tristan Tate, but he is absolutely...
What? Okay, now I have to know. Let me get this straight. Clavicular is voting for Gavin Newsom because he mogged JD Vance, because literally he looks better. Is that the gist of this?
I don't tell other Americans who to vote for. I never have. You vote for whoever you like. But if Gavin Newsom's running against JD Vance, I will be voting for JD Vance, and that's my vote, and you can do it with yours.
Now, the reason why this clip is so funny to me is because it starts off with Clavicular, like, thinking that he's going to have this mic drop moment. He's smirking, he's like, they're gonna love this. Yeah, I went viral for saying that Gavin Newsom mogged JD Vance, and that's why I voted for him. And then Tristan's like...
That's a stupid logic. Like, I'm sorry, like, whatever you think about politicians, like... looks doesn't really enter into competency when it comes to politicians. I don't think necessarily. And maybe it like has to do with, I guess you could say looks would be an advantage when you're speaking publicly or something, and consequently there's something. But like, again, voting for someone because they look, that's an idiotic idea. Just because they look better does not mean they will. And I feel stupid even saying that. He has made me stupider.
No, that is an absolutely idiotic idea. Say what you will about Tristan Tate, but he is absolutely in the right here. And he's like, no, as an American, I will vote for American interest, which would be JD Vance, not Gavin Newsom. And just like in the clip, if we zoom in, you can just watch Clavicular, the confidence like drain from his face. He's like, oh. But he's still trying to, you know, keep up appearances. And then Justin joins in and echoes what Tristan's saying. And then it's just over for him. And this type of thing just kept happening throughout the night. When they were on...
That's another weird, like, kind of psychological dynamic where it feels like in that scenario, do you think Clavicular is going to go away and he's going to come away with the actual changed opinion that he shouldn't have voted for Gavin Newsom? I guess I don't know. It feels like in those scenarios you can kind of be browbeaten into a certain position. It's one of the things I think sometimes is it happens in what you consider like debates, where a person can be forced to concede, but they don't really change their mind. Like, in the moment that they're forced to accept that this point is correct, but, like, again, you haven't really succeeded in altering the way they think in a good way. Like, they're going to go away and they're going to come up with some sort of reason as to how they can still espouse that same belief. You've just temporarily set them back.
On this party bus, which we'll talk about later, Sneeko and Fuentes, they were talking about their content, and they pushed...
And to be fair, like, if you do believe in your positions, I suppose going away and, you know, reestablishing them or reconciling them with, to the degree that you can hold them again, I guess maybe that's a good thing too, but providing they're not, you know, some sort of aberrant, unhealthy beliefs.
Back on Clavicular doing content with OnlyFans girls, and the moment they push back, he just folded. He stands for nothing. Just watch.
You know, people will say, oh, you're promoting OF wars. It's like, if you don't have the willpower to not buy a fucking porn subscription, that's just on you, okay?
Okay, he thinks he has a mic drop moment. He's looking over at the camera and he's like, if you don't have the willpower,
that's what drug dealers say.
That's on you. And then just watch.
It's not the greatest
Silence.
responsibility for making a
I'm not trying to make fun of Asians, but this guy does have, like, his eyebrows are, like, perfectly stereotypical Asian man. Like, he should have a goat, like a really long goatee and ponytails. Master Sneeko. Sensei Sneeko? No, I'm trying to think whether this is Japanese or Chinese. I'm thinking it would be like Chinese, but there's this like very stereotypical like chink, and maybe he tries for that. I don't know.
You agree?
Yeah, I mean, I agree it's not your fault that people are buying it, but I do think the content with OF girls is like inherently promoting it.
Yeah, I know.
He literally folds immediately. He folds immediately.
I feel like kids in general do not have very well developed beliefs. So, like, if you ask a kid why they did something, like, I don't know. Like, they operate more on instinct than any sort of intellectual or conscientious, like, motivation. And that type of motivation, if you don't understand the origins of it, if you don't know why you believe what you believe, yeah, it folds pretty quick.
Nick is like, yeah, I'm not going to be on camera saying that that's a good thing. And Clavicular, after having this mic drop moment, smirking at the camera, you know, mogging, mewing, whatever he's doing, he's immediately like, yeah, no, you're right, I probably shouldn't do that. He is the small puppy in this live stream. He is the protege. He is desperate to win the approval of the Tates, of the Justin Wellers, of Nick Fuentes.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm pretty sure I heard Clavicular say he was clean off of meth. In the last video I watched him, he was clean for 2 weeks or something. And now he's saying he does meth instead of drinking. The plot thickens.
Says all of those things. All right, now I kind of got off track with the whole Clavicular thing, but this actually is a good segue because from there, the boys, the bachelor party, their selection of women, they get on that party bus and they go to the club, which I'm sorry, just seems like so awful and nasty. Kill me if I am ever found in that environment. That is the last place on earth I would.
I don't like loud places in general. They annoy me. It's just too much crap. And like, the notion, like, it feels like it's very hard to carry on any sort of, like, meaningful conversation with anyone, especially in places like that. I don't see the appeal at all. Unless you actually like dancing, or you want to get with someone. I feel like the whole notion is just kind of stupid.
Ever want to be. This is what was happening. Club culture to me is just like apocalyptic. They're in a VIP space, which should be nicer, and yet they're still packed in like sardines. They're screaming over each other. There's flashing lights. There's women, they're just standing around looking at their phones. Nobody's dancing. Andrew Tate in some of these videos, like, he honestly...
It kind of feels like it's a place for adult children, basically. It's like the equivalent of like jangling keys for a cat or something. Maybe simpleton, easily entertain people like... I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. If you like that sort of thing, I feel like you cannot be of the highest intellectual and or moral fiber.
I looked a little embarrassed. Stop pretending that this is an enjoyable, fulfilling, fruitful way to spend a Saturday night. I can smell the vodka and the vape smoke from here. Clips from there started going viral as well, and people online were obviously entertained because they're going viral, people are commenting, they're talking about it, but no one really seemed to think that this was admirable or aspirational, understandably. Like, somebody posted and said, what the F happened to this country? Nothing about this scene is a win for America, which I would agree. We have Groiper incels standing clustered like wallflowers at a high school dance, looking awkward and out of place. Everyone looks bored and out of their minds, masking their boredom by vapes, pills, or endless phone checking, which it does sum up a lot of modern young Americans. Watch that video again. All of the girls, they're just standing there scrolling on their phones. You're out in public, apparently socializing, and yet you're standing in this loud, obnoxious, disgusting, sticky floor.
Yep. Her epitaphs are well placed. I don't know if epitaph's the right word there. Her adjectives are well placed.
Environment, literally just scrolling on X, scrolling through your DM, seeing who liked.
Again, I feel like the whole notion of clubbing, like, is there anyone who really enjoys that? If you enjoy music, I feel like I don't know if you really enjoy that. Maybe if you're just really into electronic stuff. I guess if you enjoy music and dancing, maybe that's it. But beyond that, it is an environment that is non-conducive to anything else beyond music, dancing, and getting with someone, I assume.
Your selfie in your like half-naked dress, it's just gross. And the commenters agree. Even
for the record, I've never been to a club, so I guess I can't remark on it, but it feels like that is kind of the vibe. It's just... Did I say... For the record, I've never been... Well, I have been to a concert once. I've never been to a club. I didn't like the concert either, and that was like a gospel concert. It's just, yeah, it's just too loud.
in regards to like the men being there, this guy said no substance, all ego and facade. All of those people need a camera with all eyes on me, but when it comes down to being authentic, he said, I don't know, I feel like Sneaky is the only one that seems authentic. Andrew Tate is such a goober. I wonder if Andrew Tate would be offended by somebody calling him
a goofy goober, even.
goober. It's not even like an aggressive critique. It's just like, you're a goober, sir. And the funny thing is, like, the one person who stood out in the stream was Nicholas J. Fuentes because he looked so out of place in that environment. Somebody commented and said, weirdly enough, Nick being kind of awkward and clearly not wanting to be there makes him the only one who comes off decent there. The rest of the guys are supposed to be these red-pilled rebels, but they clearly desperately want to be involved in the douchiest aspects of club culture, which is true. You're like rebels. You're these like masculine bros, but you're desperately hoping to be perceived perceived as cool and you're using a Miami club to do that, and you'll probably argue and be like, you're cool, you're talking about me. Yes, you went viral, but again, is that actually a measure of coolness? Is this something that other people should aspire to do? Are you actually happy? Like, take the likes and the attention and the clicks and the hoes.
All right, we'll stop there. No, it's not something people should aspire to. I think at some point in the near future, they actually go into the notion of they played Kanye's Hitler song, which is also interesting. No one should aspire to be these people. At least in the broadest sense, no, you should not. Maybe there's some things you could take from them. Stand up for yourself. I guess I think that's something Andrew Tate kind of preaches, which is, don't be a pushover in any case. But yeah. All right, that's Brett Cooper, Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, and Clivic. They're walking to a club. You can go look that up if you like. See the rest of it. All right. Moving on. There's one by Chris Williamson I wanted to look at. The parental... Where is it? Here we go.
Find your part. Get set. Go. Shop Grainger.com for the product you need.
Yeah, parental attrition. Yeah. The parental attribution error. Which is, yeah. I'm just saying I made a video earlier on this point, and I'm pretty sure he got it. No, I'm kidding. That'd be a little bit extreme, but this was a video I really liked by him. But I think I had mentioned in one of my previous videos the notion that like every characteristic, if expressed in immaturity, can be bad, which was not original with me, nor was it necessarily that I know of original with the person I heard it from. So who knows where it came from.
The parental attribution error. We love blaming our parents. It's practically a rite of passage in modern psychology. But there's a double standard.
Yeah, it's all my parents' fault.
Buried in the trend.
I guess it's hard to exactly quantify what is you and what is just environment. Like how much of it you're doing yourself as an exertion of your own will on your own reality, and how much of it's just like, well, I didn't choose where I was born. I didn't choose the parents I was born to. I didn't choose the body I was born into, or the instincts that it has, to some extent anyways. You can train instincts into yourself, I tend to think. But yeah, this is a question of like how much do you actually choose, and how much are you just kite on the wind?
We attribute what's broken in us to our upbringings while claiming that what's strong is ours alone. Call it the parental attribution error, like the fundamental attribution error where we blame others' actions on their character but excuse our own by pointing to circumstance. I cut that guy off because...
Well, there's an interesting point to be made. You do understand you're the first one to ever live your life. Ever. Presuming you don't think in, parallel universes. You were the only person to ever live your life exactly the way it is. You were the only you. So to what extent you're actually capable of understanding another person's perspective, I think there are commonalities. I had mentioned kind of empathy at the beginning of this. I guess I think there are commonalities between human beings, but to actually know what it is to be another human, I don't think you ever really, I don't know if that's really in the realm of possibility when it comes to understanding. Something maybe to strive for, to try and understand other people, but I don't know if you're ever really going to get it, because you're just not them. There's no substitute for perspective, I guess.
I'm late for work, he cut me off because he's a dick. It's a skewed way of assigning credit and blame. We externalize the bad and we internalize the good. You're quick to blame and slow to credit. You say you're...
I don't know if that really makes sense. Like, I think it was maybe one of the Dr. K videos where he's saying, like, it's all you. The idea would be that effectively it's not so much what you like or dislike that's a part of you. That's not really the dynamic to use. I think it has more to do with that which is inextricably connected to you. And whether or not it's good or bad, you have to deal with it. You have to just figure it out, okay? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's indifferent. Just to figure it out and figure out how to make it work with what you've got. At least that's the way I would hope people would behave.
anxiously attached because no one held you when you needed it, but isn't your ability to be alone with your emotions and to endure discomfort quietly also forged in the same crucible? You
Stoicism, yeah. Sorry, I'm not making fun. That is literally a good thing.
blame your parents for pushing you too hard in school.
Yes, technically I was making fun, but it is also a good thing.
Convinced that it made you perfectionistic and neurotic. But when was the last time that you acknowledged that same pressure gave you ambition and discipline and drive? You point to a childhood where mistakes weren't tolerated as the reason that you fear failure. But what about your meticulousness, your standards, your refusal to phone it in? You complain that no one ever asked you what you wanted growing up. But could that also be why you're so tuned in to what everyone else needs? You say your low self-worth comes from never being praised, but isn't that the same fuel that makes you outwork everyone around you? You trace your conflict avoidance back to all of the
Again, the notion of self-love is one that comes up a lot these days. People have even taken that to the extreme of marrying themselves. I think there was some actress lately who'd done that. Emma Watson? Was that the one? I remember something with her about Saturn being on retrograde or something. She's an interesting lady. But I guess I tend to like the idea of being comfortable with yourself, but self-love, it feels like it's... I don't know if I would go that far. I don't think you should necessarily love yourself. You should appreciate, bits and pieces of who you are, if they're good or if they're bad, and you should accept yourself for who you are and be comfortable with who you are. But I think love is perhaps better directed at, others, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Forget all that. I'll have to figure that one out. Figure out what I feel about that one.
outing at home. But isn't that also where your talent for de-escalation and emotional radar came from? You chalk up your hyper-independence to not being able to trust.
To be fair, I had a whole bunch of older brothers. I wasn't the biggest until I had 4 older brothers. I don't know when I actually became the biggest. Technically, I am the biggest at this point in time, but you grow up, you kind of have to solve problems not using strength. Right? It's nothing like brothers for drilling some tactical awareness into people.
Anyone, but isn't that also what made you capable, adaptable, and calm under pressure? You say you're emotionally guarded because no one took your feelings seriously.
Do you actually... Point of order. Sorry, not point of order. There's actually a notion that I think I tend to handle intense situations quite well. I do not handle stress well. I don't know if that's exactly this. That would be in the same category, because I don't handle being in a stressful situation that's extended over long periods of time. But I think in an isolated, intense situation, I think I can do quite well in that. But I just don't I don't handle stress well. A more chronic type of thing, I don't think I would handle that type of thing where I have to be someone's sponsor or hear about their problems every day. Which makes, hopefully I'll deal with marriage when that comes along, but Lord willing.
But isn't that also why you're steady when the people around you fall apart? You've labeled yourself a people pleaser because you had to keep the peace at home. But maybe that's also where your social fluency and emotional intelligence were born. You blame your poor boundaries on parents who didn't respect yours, but isn't that also why you're so careful not to cross anyone else's? You say your fear of being a burden comes...
I was going to say, I'm sorry for keep interrupting him. No, technically I'm supposed to keep interrupting. I was thinking about the notion of, it feels like a lot of problems... No, I guess say a lot of problems. It feels like sometimes problems in life do almost get, and I had this growing up, where you have a highly assertive personality, and a personality who's almost incapable of assertion. The dynamic between men and women quite often breaks down into this. It feels like a lot of problems can arise and perhaps be misdiagnosed as some sort of abuse, when perhaps it's literally just a highly assertive personality and a personality that has no idea how to assert themselves. And I don't know, I don't want to take it easy on people who do genuinely abuse others, But I think sometimes that dynamic, especially between men and women, just it naturally falls into that type of idea where you have a woman who just like they wouldn't really say what they want. I'm fully convinced there are women who would politely ask you to stop SAing them. Like women are like quite often feels like incapable of saying no, don't do that in no uncertain terms. And I think there's actually a dynamic too where women, especially who didn't really maybe have any sort of positive like male role models in their lives, are maybe especially inclined towards that. I guess I don't know, because they're not used to the idea of just saying no, just don't. And I feel like that can be cause for some issues sometimes, unbeknownst or unintentional by either party. I think it can be the cause of some issues.
From being treated like one, but isn't that the same fear that now makes you reliable, disciplined, and impossible to disappoint? You attribute your sensitivity to criticism to all of the judgment that you grew up with, but that is also what makes you thoughtful, receptive, and serious about getting better. You say your nervous system never relaxes because your home was unpredictable, but isn't that also why you're perceptive, quick thinking, and never caught off guard? The traits that you are most ashamed of are often just the dark side of something light. Your sharp edges didn't
Always a silver lining, right?
appear out of nowhere. They're often the byproduct of something useful. A strength turned up too high, or a gift handled without guidance. Think about a sword. It's powerful, precise, designed to cut through resistance. But if it's double-edged, and most swords and strengths are, then sometimes it nicks you on the backswing. That doesn't...
Oh, and there's something to be said for the idea that a thing for every place, and a place for everything. No, I was just remembering from Hogan's Heroes. There's a place for everything, and the thing is in its place. I believe he was talking about a bomb. I think it was... No, he was talking about a bug. It was Kinchlow. He was talking about a bug. But there's a notion that I think quite often we think of truth as being mutually exclusive, which is... sometimes it's the case. Sometimes there is like irreconcilable, mutually exclusive philosophical and moral truth, right? But quite often within that, there's an infinity of subjectivity, where diversity of interest, diversity of effort, you have people who are just different. They're different, and everyone is meant to be in a specific sort of place and do a specific sort of thing. That's what they're suited to. There's a type of beauty in that, I think.
mean that you throw the sword away. It means you learn how to hold it properly, because most traits worth having come with risk. The truth is messier than...
That's also very true. There's a notion of, I think, the reason why kids are kind of... Relatively speaking, you'd say that a kid would almost never commit murder, right? I don't know if they have the willpower or the motivation to commit murder. And there's this notion of, okay, so if you crash at 5 miles an hour, right? Not much of a problem, right? If you crash at 20 miles an hour, probably more of a problem, but not necessarily that bad. If you crash at 100 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour, going to be a very big problem. Someone's probably going to die. So it feels like innate in ambition or any sort of like real motivation, there is inevitably the potential for instability, the potential for something to go wrong with that. And I feel like that's kind of a part of the human condition almost. That the people who are the most ambitious will have the most potential instability. The people who want to do the good the most. And yeah, I don't know. So that makes sense in my head.
Single cause, because every trait that we have is entangled. Wounds and gifts often share a root. The self-reliance you're proud of might come from the same childhood where you couldn't rely on anyone else. The confidence you carry may have started as a defense against ever feeling small or dismissed again. Even your drive to succeed might be rooted in the fear of not being good enough. But this perspective requires maturity. It is simpler to cast yourself as the victim of bad parenting than to reckon with a complicated inheritance. It's easier to say, they hurt me, than to admit they shaped me in ways that I'm still figuring out. The cultural narrative rewards blaming your parents more than it does understanding them. Therapy turns them into villains. Instagram.
That's true. Honestly, it feels like the last 20 years or something. I'm going to take a strong stance here. It feels like it started with Disney films and crap like that, where you would have a well-meaning, at best, a well-meaning but simplistic or parent who just doesn't understand things. I feel like that's kind of where some of this dynamic started. You kind of have like a lack of positive role models starting there and maybe working its way into culture largely. It's like very rarely these days do you maybe see like a really positive mother or father figure just saying, well, perhaps it's innate in the notion of storytelling, because no one writes a story about the child who stayed home and didn't get into any trouble. But it does feel like there's this type of dynamic where parents are perhaps often represented as either not understanding or being inept or being malicious almost. Yeah, anyways, it's a good place to stop it as any. Yeah. Chris Williamson, Parental Attribution Error. Good video. Okay. All right, moving on. We're going to look up Basques. Gypsies. Dance, gypsy, dance. That's all right. All right, English word. No, let's start at the beginning here. Oh, no, I'm not going to read all that crap. There's too many things to pronounce. Pyrenees, I know that one. I think is it islands? No, mountains, never mind. All right, English word Basque, may be pronounced Basque or Basque. I don't know if that's even how you say that. What's this? A-E, bad, Basque. Basque? Or Basque? And derived from the French Basque, itself derived from Gascon Basco, pronounced Bascu. Now for the love. Enough with the names. Alright. Where do we get the actual people? Alright, the distinctiveness noted by studies of classical genetic markers such as blood groups in the pre-Indo-European. So I think Indo-European is like Eastern Europe, I assume. Kind of Latvia, Lithuania, or something like that. Pre-Indo-European of the Basque language has resulted in a popular and long-held view that Basques are living fossils. Okay, am I looking up the right Basques? Here we go. History. Okay. Basque tribes were mentioned in Roman times by Strabo and Pliny. I assume that's Pliny. I have to look that one up, because I remember that one from somewhere. Pliny the Elder. Gaius Plinius Secundus, known in English as Pliny the Elder, was a Roman author, naturalist, scientist, and naval and army commander of the early Roman Empire, procurator and friend of the emperor. Okay, good for him. Ugh. Let's see his wiener. Alright, okay, in early Middle Ages, territories... Where were we? There was enough evidence to support the hypothesis that at that time and later, they spoke old varieties of Basque languages, antiquarian language. The language of ancient Anquitani, people living in Roman times between the Pyrenees and the Atlantic Ocean. Alright, the territory between Ebro and Garonne rivers, well known as Vasconia, a vaguely defined ethnic and political entity struggling to fend off pressure from Iberian Visigothic kingdom and Arab rule to the south, as well as the Frankish push from the north. Like Wallachia. This isn't Wallachia, is it? I think that would have maybe been the origin of these types of people, though. By the turn of the first millennium, the territory of Vasconia. So that, no, this would have been, okay, different place. So I think at this point the Arabs would have been in Spain, and France to the north. All right. So this is between Spain and France, actually. I was thinking this was Eastern Europe. Anyways, by the turn of the first millennium, so Indo-Europe. Now I have to look up Indo-European. Where was that? Here. Oh, you know what? Was it wrong? There are several ancient languages. Yeah, I don't know. All right, where was I? The kingdom of. That wasn't it. Okay, this. I don't know any of it. This is it. Geography. This is the history. This is the history, right? Yeah, history. In early Middle Ages, the territory between Ebro and Garonne rivers. See, I don't know if I'm looking up the right thing. Vasquez. Spain, France, areas bordering the Bay of Biscay. This seems right. All right. As well as the Frank. Oh, there we were. Right. Struggling to fend off pressure from the Iberian Visigoth kingdom and Arab rule to the south, as well as the Frankish push from the north. By the turn of the first millennium, the territory of Vasconia had fragmented into different feudal regions, such as Suel, La Borde. Okay, these are basically the same. What's wrong with these people? Just different flags. Well, south of the Pyrenees and the Castle and the Pyrenean countries of Aragon, Sobarbe, Ribagorca, right, the kingdom of Aragon. That's Aragon, not Aragorn. I believe it's some sort of subset of Spain, I'm thinking. Some subdivide of Spain. Anyways, and the Palars emerged as the main regional entities with Basque population in the 19th and 10th centuries. The kingdom of Pamplona, Central Basque realm, known as Navarra, underwent the process of feudalism, which was subject to the influence of its much larger Aragonese, Castilian, and French neighbors. I think Castilian would also have been a subdivide of Spain, maybe. Castile deprived Navarre of its coastline by conquering key western territories. Okay, this is not what I was looking for, I don't think. Let me look up just gypsies. All right. Gypsies. All right. Romani people. Maybe this is what I was looking up. All right. The Romani, also spelled Romani. Again, let's skip that part. Are the Pikeys supposed to be gypsies? I don't know. Names. Don't care about the names. Other designations. Populations and subgroups. Romani populations. There's no official reliable count of the Romani population worldwide. No, I feel like I've looked at this one. Maybe there's more to the Basque one. Okay. Where's Basque? Alright, Alright, let's go Basque diaspora. A large number of Basques have left the Basque country to settle in the rest of Spain, France, and other parts of the world. So this would actually have been something I learned from Hogan's Heroes they were talking about Basque blood with reference to Louis Lebeau, who was supposed to be a fortune teller after he learned he had Basque blood. His Basque blood had awakened or something. So I am assuming the Basques are kind of nomads slash gypsies slash whatever. Or maybe they're just famous for being fortune tellers. I don't know. Historically, Basques abroad were often employed in shepherding and ranching by maritime fisheries and merchants. Millions of Basque descendants live in North America, United States, Canada, mainly provinces of Newfoundland and Quebec. That's because Quebec is French, France. See, look at that, Fleur de Lis. For the record, I think that was actually Joan of Arc's thing, right? That's who originated that. All over Latin America, South Africa. Spanish. All right. The Spanish author Miguel. There are at least two things that can clearly be attributed to the Basques: Society of Jesus and the Republic of Chile. Okay, what is this? The Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesus Order or the Jesuits. Okay. Is a religious order of clerics, regular of pontifical right for men of the Catholic Church. Headquartered in Rome, it was founded in 1540 by Ignatius of Loyola and 6 companions with the approval of Pope Paul III. On the Republic of Chile. Oh, yeah. The Chilean historian Luz Thayer Ojeda estimated that 48% of immigrants to Chile in the 17th and 18th century were Basque. Estimates for the number of Basque descendants living in Chile range between 2.5 and 5 million. The Basque have been a major, if not strongest, influence in the country's culture and economic development. I did actually not know that. Chile, land of the gypsies. In Bolivia, the War of Vicuñas and Basques was an armed conflict in the Charcas province that lasted between in March 1625. Fought between Basques and Vicuñas, an informal term for non-Basque Spaniards in Upper Peru. A name obtained through the habit of wearing hats made of vicuña skin. Okay, now I have to look up that. Okay, like an alpaca almost. Guanaco. All right. Competition over control of the silver mines in Potosi, Lipez, and Chicas. I don't know. Surged in the early 17th century, pitting Basque and Vicuñas against each other. The Vicuñas had initially employed legal and political measures, attempting to block the Basque attempts to monopolize control over the Cabildo, for the love, municipal government of Potosi and the silver mining sector. The war pitted different sectors of the viceregal. No. What the Harry? No, I've. We were down. Diaspora? Is that where we were? No. Here. United States. Yeah, there we are. I wanted to look up Viceregal. There we go. Viceregal administration. Search for Viceregal. Relating to a viceroy. And a viceroy is, of course, some sort of ruler. Viceroy definition. Meaning vice, the governor of a country or province who rules as the representative of a king or sovereign, right? Okay, great. Now, Basques against each other, as some supported the Basque claims for hegemony, which is like a kind of monopoly. It's like rulership in all but actual name. Like they basically have the power, but they don't have any political power associated with it. They just kind of control stuff by economic force, more or less. Whilst other had conciliatory approach, which is reconcile, I think, is the root word there. Conciliatoria. Approach to the Vicuña rebels. Personalities involved in the conflict included the president and the... What the... Judges, okay, good for them. Learn something new every day. Of the royal audience of Charcas, I don't know. Treasury officials and the choreographer. Basque places' names are not to be found in the Americas, such as Nueva Vizcaya. Sorry. Now Chihuahua and Durango. What the hairy? Okay. Maybe they did that before the dog came along, but I would not name a city Chihuahua after the dog came around, right? I was going to take you seriously. Durango. Alright, New Navarra. Biscayne Bay. And Aguaberry Point was the first province in the north of Viceroyalty of New Spain, Mexico, to be explored and settled by Spanish. It consisted mostly of the area which today the state of Chihuahua. Still funny. Still funny. In Mexico, most descendants of Basque immigrant are concentrated in the cities of Monterrey, Saltillo, Reynosa. This sounds like a whole bunch of names. In Colombia, a large number of Basques settled in mainly Antigua. There is some more similar to Basque people than the Antioqueños. Also, writer said in his book, The Mitos de Antioquia. Antioquia, which is in its clean ascendance, predominates the peninsular farmer of the Basque provinces, inherited the virtues of its ancestors, despite the predominance of the white race. I don't understand any of this. Especially the predominance of the white... despite the predominance of the white race. In his book, which is its clean ascendant predominance, the peninsular farmer of the Basque provinces inherited the virtue of its ancestors, despite the predominance of the white race. Its extension in the mountains has projected over Colombia's map the prototype of its race. So I would have thought Basque would have literally just been kind of white or Spanish or something. Anyways. And Medellin, with the industrial paisa, I think that's countryside. Oh, never mind. Someone from region. Oh, what is the countryside? Pais? I thought it was something like that. Pasado. Ciudad is city. País. Yeah, País is countryside. This is Paisa, so maybe it's different. Strong and steady in its towns, the adventurer, arrogant world explorer, its myths are evidence of their deep credulity. You know, I kind of... believability is what comes to mind when I hear credulity, but... A tendency to be ready to believe something that is real or true. Okay. I remember from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie that would strain credulity at that. And indubitable proof of their Iberian ancestors, and a sequel to The Conqueror's blood which runs through their veins. Yeah, Spaniards were conquerors. Bambuco, Colombian folk music, has Basque roots. Interesting. The largest of several important Basque communities in the United States is in the area of Boise, Idaho, home to the Basque Museum of Culture and Cultural Center, host to the annual Basque Festival, as well as a festival for the Basque diaspora every 5 years. Reno, Nevada, where the Center for Basque Studies and Basque Studies Library are located at the University of Nevada, is another significant nucleus of Basque population. Elko, Nevada, sponsors an annual Basque festival that celebrates the dance, cuisine, and cultures of the Basque peoples of Spanish, French, and Mexican nationalities who arrived in Nevada since the late 19th century. Texas has a large percentage of Hispanics descended from Basques who participated in the conquest of New Spain. Many of the original Tejanos, descendants of mostly Native Americans, but also Texas Creoles and Mestizos, who settled in Texas before its admission into this American state. The term is also sometimes applied to Texans of Mexican descent. And the Basque had many of the original Tejanos had Basque blood, including those who fought in the Battle of Alamo, alongside many other Texans. Along the Mexican-Texican border, many Basque surnames can be found. The largest concentration of Basques who settled on Mexico's northeastern frontera. Really? Why did you have to put just frontier? Alright. Including the states of Chihuahua. Still funny, sorry. Makes me laugh every time. Coahuila? I don't know. Nuevo Leon. Oh no, this is getting painful. Settled alongside the Texas Rio Grande from South Texas to West Texas. Many of the historic hidalgos, or noble families, I think that would mean knight, effectively. I remember that from Don Quixote, I think. Don Quixote de la Mancha. Or someone who rides a horse. I think it's knight, basically. Hidalgo, I think, would mean horse. I'm assuming hidalgos would mean someone who rides a horse? I have to look that up now. There we go. A gentleman. Okay, but from the movie Hidalgo, I don't know if that's actually what they're... Okay, horse. Let me look up Hidalgo horse. Originates from the Spanish phrase hijo de algo, meaning son of something. I'm assuming it means like son of some value. Dang nabbit, will you stop that? Hidalgos certainly enjoyed privileges such as tax exemptions. Maybe that's just different. Maybe it was an Indian word from the movie Hidalgo that meant big dog. Maybe it's just kind of a happy coincidence or an unhappy coincidence. I don't know. But I think in the movie Hidalgo, he calls this horse Hidalgo, and it had something to do with, I don't know. Anyways, many of the historic Hidalgos, noble families from this era, had gained their titles and land grants from Spain and Mexico. They still value their land. Some of the North America's largest ranches, which were founded under these colonial land grants, can be found in this region. Nice. California has a major concentration of Basques, most notably in San Joaquin Valley between Stockholm, Fresno, and Bakersfield. The city of Bakersfield has a large Basque community, and the city has several Basque restaurants, including Noriega's, which won the 2011 James Beard Foundation America's Classic Award. There is history of Basque culture in Chino, California. In Chino, 2 annual Basque festivals celebrate the dance, cuisine, and culture of the people. The surrounding area of San Bernardino County has many Basque descendants and residents. They are mostly descendants of settlers from Spain and Mexico. These Basques in California are grouped into the group known as Californios. Vast of your... All right. Wonderful. I think we're going to stop there and move on to whatever. We're back. And better than ever, baby. Let's get back on that one. That's weird. The whole time, without realizing, I still had part of the cord wrapped around the mic. Hopefully it's all right anyways. Oh. I wonder who originated the evil chuckle, or if it's just an intuitive thing people did, or someone actually created the Wilhelm scream. That was pretty dope. I don't know if maybe someone did just do that at some point. All right. Now, where was I?
A minion will always attempt to rest before their smarts becomes critical. If their smarts is this low...
Give me a second. Let's see if I can tap the volume down a little bit here. So. That seems a little better. All right. Construct a re-education chair. Yes, I am in the process of doing so. Like, I wonder if you always are meant to create a Midas device for this guy. Goldfinger.
Fantastic.
The man with the
Your
Midas
technicians will
touch.
ensure that all of your technical doohickeys stay in perfect working order. Collect the completed side story to continue your world domination.
You there, the one in the apron. What is it you do around here?
Me? I repair things, prevent breakages, turn things off and on again.
Oh, good. We need someone to keep the lair in good working order. If you come across any corpses, just don't turn them back on. I like them that way.
Our lair is getting busy. Just one more side story to go.
Another group of agents. Can't a genius with a dubious criminal past purchase an exotic lair in peace anymore?
It's probably all the helicopters. They'll be wondering what we're doing out here.
That's why I chose this location. It has the perfect cover operation, even if it is abandoned.
I think the problem is that it's abandoned, boss. Not many people visit an abandoned...
For once, you make a good point. Very well. Hire some staff. Dress them well. Teach them to cheat at roulette.
Many objectives require you to send different types of minions to run special schemes. Let's go to the world stage to get started. One of the highlighted schemes is near one of your criminal networks. You can send minions to complete the scheme now, or you can search the globe for an alternative.
New. There we go. How delightful. Alright. needs to be. I don't even have the cafeteria closed off. It's a cafeteria, for heaven's sake. Alright, and then we have the thinky thing. Where? No, there it is. I'll just do the rest since it's a kitchen. Alright, kidnap a valet. Should be doing that. Learn the ways of the valet. Can I get that stuff researched? Oh, that's what it is researching. Alright, we're good. Probably. Ish. Wait, is that? Alright.
A scheme has succeeded.
Your minions have kidnapped
Minions.
a
Okay.
specialist.
No, stairs. That's what
Once
we're doing.
they're in a holding cell, you can choose to interrogate them.
I am. Yes. I'm just thinking I can maybe, if I wanted to. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to though. Like turn this area into some sort of part of the layer, but it's a little bit dicey. A little bit dicey. If anything, you would maybe. Well, no, I can't. It just feels better if I leave that the way it is. Anyways. My mini capacity, anyways. 62. No more quiz cells. That's almost finished, so pretty soon I'll be able to get to the other floors. I'm trying to like. I'm thinking the lower floors
New
actually start to
optional
have more
objective
area.
available.
I'll eventually get to these points where this one isn't, but I think this one right here would get more expansive the further down you go. I assume. Come on, stairs. Get a move on. I figure which I wonder which ones I would actually want to move to a different. Probably the control room and the power station. I would maybe want to move to a different location. Well, lab's probably fine here. As well as the prison thing. You have to move people in and out of the prison thing. Cafeteria, fine if we leave it there. Maybe the barracks as well. This and this. Probably go to the other floor.
A scheme has succeeded.
Huzzah!
Select the holding cell and then select escort prisoner. After that, select the interrogation device. For now, that's the interrogation chair.
Where's that going? Come on, refresh. 90%. I'm gonna indulge my ADHD.
New research has been completed. Research has begun.
Interrogation has revealed to us how to build new training furniture. Build the new item in your training room.
Why do they seem so freakishly large compared to the others? Alright, now, let's go floor 3. Where am I meant to build this? So yeah, even at that point it's already separated. I think I'm gonna build down into this one first. Alright. Floor 4. Maybe here at the end. So, corridor. Like so. Where do we have... Where can we actually get... Oh, there we go. Guess that works. Alright, let's revert. So, cafeteria. Now, cafeteria goes on the end.
New main objective available.
Head to the minion training screen to request some advanced minions.
Maybe move these guys. Alright, now.
New optional objective available.
Alright, that'll do.
Salaries paid.
So I can get it. There we go. What the deuce? Alright, that's the thinking thing, right? Just want... I got that bloody thing. Okay. Just have to move that or something. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll do it like that for now. I will resolve that issue later. Yeah. Stupid throat. Not that I don't need it, but unfortunately at times it's quite annoying. Now, corridor here. Let's see if we can get some. Now, corridor. Nothing in there, Mary. Yoink, yoink, yoink. There we go. Let's do it. Alright. So that opens up stuff. Again, what do we want here? We want a power station, a big power station if possible. I should first plan a corridor. Alright, let's go like so. Alright, now, power station. Alright, now what was the other thing? We wanted a control center. So, where? Maybe here? I feel like this stuff is all on the second floor, so I don't know if there's a lot of necessity to close in. If they get this far, then they probably are going to destroy it anyways.
New optional objective available.
Alright. Good enough. It'd be nice if we could have the lab up here as well. Alright, so let's see. Let's go like so.
Not enough gold to complete this construction.
Shush. Alright. I'll go like that. Alright, I forgot about that.
Request the amount of this specialist you want in your lair. Your minions will always try to keep to this number. Your workers will start to train automatically. They'll learn faster if another minion is able to teach them.
Oh, so I can't do this. Alright, sell. Also sell. Maybe I'll leave some of those there. Money, honey, the cat. Why am I? I would like to sell all this stuff after I start digging that crap upstairs. Alright, there we go. That's starting, I assume. Maybe I'll leave some of the pillars. Alright. Some are pretty cool, but and what else? Room type do we want? See, no. else do we want?
New main objective available.
To ensure your cover operation is perceived as legitimate, you need some activities for your guests to use. Request some roulette tables to be built in your cover operations.
Your scientists have discovered something.
Distracting agents drains their resolve and reduces the time they have to find suspicious activity in your lair before heading back to their HQ.
Not enough gold to complete this construction.
Hey, what is saying not enough gold? I'm literally maxed out on gold. I don't get that.
Research has begun.
Alright, wrong. Level 3. Okay, why in the area did they not do more here? Do I need more people? I feel like I could have moved this a little bit. Seeing something. Alright, so what are we're getting rid of this. Can maybe put more barracks in here? Right next to the training room, that makes sense, right? I do feel like we need more minions
A
around.
scheme has succeeded.
Max out on minions. I guess they're doing all
We
of
have
this
picked
stuff
up some
first
movement
instead of the
near
stuff
your
on
lair.
there.
Keep an eye out for incoming agents.
A scheme has succeeded. Salaries paid.
Safe rack. I don't know.
Tag this agent for distract. This will ensure your minions remove the offending agent with as little commotion as possible.
I want you to distract that intruder, if you can find them.
You don't have to rotate.
Your minions will escort any unwanted guests to a safe spot within your cover operations.
I'll do the other ones actually. So this is level 2, level 3. Working on that. Hopefully, good. Sweet glory. It is meager as far as space. Basement. Oh, that's more like it. That's more like it. Never get there. Alright, now, do I have the nuclear? I do not have the nuclear generator. Oh yeah, I do. I do, we're good. Alright, let's see if I want to set these up.
Not enough gold to complete this construction.
That's a stupid thing, always too much, maybe that's just a mismanagement on my part. Always too much gold when I don't need it, and then too little when I do. Alright, this needs to be cooled down. nice thing about here is that I don't even really have to build out some sort of elaborate trap. The hallways are pretty long, except for this way.
A trap has been triggered.
I feel like this one's perfect, or purposely they kind of nerfed him a little bit, just so you could easily distract him. Someone please distract him. There we go. You know, later on you can actually get it so you have like areas that are just permanently in that thing where you can label them like distract. And I'm not for sure which mission you get it on though. Which is irksome to me. Maybe something you unlock as part of the missions? Like the story missions, that is. Gertrude Buckley. Now, play a game and like it. Alright, level 3. What are we doing here? Oh, so that all done. Nice. Nice. If I get a chance I can get through to there, but for the moment, I think we're stuck with where we are. There's a nice area over here too, if I get a chance. You know, that maybe that's where I could put the lab or something. At some point we're gonna need a workshop as well, so. Anyways. I double check and see if there's any sort of objectives that I've collected.
New optional objective available.
Alright, I think that's it. Me done for today. Sorry it was a little bit shorter, I think, but, you know. Unfortunately, never mind. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.